That suitcase wasn't here before. Wonder if it's...
The first video tonight comes from Undiscovered Origins, an independent channel focused on cryptid research and remote wilderness investigations. It is April 3rd, 2026 in the Ouachita Mountains, United States.
Play for you the EVP. Tell me what you think, and we'll come back and discuss it here in just a minute.
Just got through making dinner. It's about 10 o'clock. Got through making dinner. Setting up camp. About 10 o'clock. Got through making dinner.
What did you think about that? Now, I'm going to play it for you again in a minute, but I'm going to give you a little bit of the story. Back during the pandemic, I talked my wife into going. We couldn't go anywhere else really in towns and things like that. She's not really that much of an outdoor person, but I talked her into going on a camping trip right in the middle of the pandemic. So we got out in the middle of nowhere by ourselves, and yet it's not really her thing, but I wanted to go scout out a spot while we were headed over into East Oklahoma. And when we got there, we got set up. It was really late, so I didn't have a chance to really scope out the area, anything like that. As soon as we got there, we captured that EVP. Now, we came back after all this had happened, and
They arrive late, right on the edge of darkness. Setup is quick. The tent goes up, food is cooked, but there is no time to properly assess the area. While testing recording equipment, everything seems normal in real time. But later, playback reveals something else. A faint voice in the background, completely missed in the moment.
started listening to audio, and that popped up right away. This is like the first video clip that I turned on, other than my audio recorder. So I'm going to play for you again the EVP that we thought we got.
Just got through making dinner. It's about 10 o'clock. Got through making dinner.
Again, we didn't notice that any of that happened, but we got set up. Everything's kind of quiet. But from the time we got there, the place had just a really heavy feeling. Like, it just seemed weird. Now, you got to keep in mind, I've camped hundreds and hundreds of nights all over the world. It's not abnormal to be a little weirded out, especially when you get there so close to dark and you don't have a chance to look. But as soon as we got there, it just had this really heavy feeling. And for those...
Then movement starts. Footsteps circling the campsite in a consistent pattern. They hear it. He checks. And every time he does, it stops. That behavior is important. It suggests awareness, not just movement. Then it shifts location toward the truck. Equipment mounted outside begins reacting, as if something is physically interacting with it.
You're going to get your mom's minivan in at the state park. And there's nothing wrong with that, but I like to get really off trail, really into the woods deep. To kind of back up a minute, I had found this location as I was scouting out some areas, and I really wanted to go there and check it out so that I could go back for a future actual full-on investigation. I get out of my tent several times. I'm listening as I lay back down, and I'm hearing unmistakable crunching. Like, it sounds like somebody's literally walking around in camp.
Then, escalation. They are asleep until his wife wakes him. Quiet, controlled. She is not reacting to a noise. She is identifying presence. Someone is in the camp. That distinction matters.
And then about a minute and a half out, you start hearing crunching. Don't think nothing about it at first, even when I'm listening to it. But as this goes on, you can clearly hear footsteps coming. And then in the audio clip you're going to hear my wife. She wakes me up. Now, I said earlier, she's not an outdoorsy person. She's not, but that doesn't mean she's not used to being out in the wilderness like this, you know. We both did scouts for a long time. We were out camping a lot. She's used to noises and things like that. But her words to me were, someone's in camp. So
Then impact. The tent is pushed inward forcefully. Not wind, not light contact. Enough pressure to partially collapse the structure. Immediate reaction. Light, weapon, verbal warning. He assumes it is a bear, because at that distance, it is the only logical explanation.
So I immediately, as I'm looking at my wife as this is happening, her eyes are this big. I mean, and I'm not gonna lie, that's the most intimidated I've been in a tent, probably ever. I pull my firearm. I'm trying to take my flashlight and look out the side of the tent. You hear me holler because my immediate thought was it was a bear. This was in May, the end of May. I had read reports of maybe some bears being in the area. It's the time of year when maybe the males get a little aggressive. So I thought it might be a bear and it's trying to get in our tent. So I'm trying to holler because I'm thinking that I can run this bear off, make some.
He continues shouting, trying to create distance. At this point, it is no longer investigation. It is control, or at least an attempt to regain it. This one crosses a line most do not. It does not stay at sound. It does not stay at distance. It moves through stages: audio, movement, interaction, proximity, contact. Each step removes another layer of separation. And by the end, there is no ambiguity about one thing. Something entered their camp. What is unclear is what it was, because the behavior does not fully match wildlife, but it is not clearly anything else either. And that is where it sits. Not unexplained because nothing happened, but because too much did, without a single answer tying it all together. Before we move on, if you're enjoying the video so far, leaving a like really helps. And if you haven't subscribed yet, now's a good time. We recently passed 50,000 subscribers, and that's entirely because of you. The next target is 100,000 before the end of the year. Ambitious, but worth aiming for. There's a hidden word somewhere in this video. See if you can spot it. Now, let's continue. The next horrifying video comes from Wild Bliss Bunny, a solo adventure-style camping channel focused on immersive first-person outdoor experiences. It is March 3rd, 2026. The moment itself is not noticed live. It is picked up later by viewers. During a routine pack-down, multiple people independently point out the same thing. A shape in the background, positioned behind the tent, while the creator is focused forward. There is no reaction in real time, no awareness, which means if something is there, it goes completely unnoticed.
And I do think there was someone standing behind me. I only looked at the evidence from my phone and from very small screens, and I really couldn't tell. But now that I've looked at it from a bigger screen, I can way more see what my subscribers are talking about, and I do think there was someone there. But I couldn't tell for sure, so let me know what you guys think. But then one of my subscribers actually sent me more evidence in my email box. Other person that she outlined, we're not sure, that she outlined, I distinctly see something that looks like a face, some sort of shadows that looks like a face. Is that a person? What is that? Really spooky, really creepy, and you know, if there was someone there, thank heavens I got out of there. But it definitely, I'll try to zoom in or get in closer so you can see close up on the screen.
The creator reviews the claims. Screenshots are sent in, highlighting a specific area. At first, nothing stands out clearly. On smaller screens, it is ambiguous, easy to dismiss as compression or shadow. But the key detail is consistency. Different viewers, same location, same claim.
I'm not sure how it's gonna come out, putting the screenshots in the video. Hopefully you can see it really good, but I'm gonna go in and it really does look like a silhouette of someone there. And when I was looking through the video footage, like I couldn't tell if there was perhaps someone moving.
Then, a second area is identified. Another possible silhouette. Less clear, more easily explained, as a tree or shadow, but still noted. There is also a face-like formation, picked out by viewers. Again, not confirmed, but enough to keep attention on that part of the frame. Then a separate detail appears. A suitcase-like object is noticed during the same sequence. The creator does not recall it being there earlier. That introduces a different question. Not just what is in the background, but whether anything changed in the environment without being noticed.
I never would have saw this or noticed it, but now that you've brought it to my attention, it is questionable. I can't tell 100% if there's a guy there. I would love your guys' feedback. Let me know what you think.
No confirmation, no clear figure, no movement to validate presence. Just shapes that increasingly resemble something the longer they are analyzed. This does not play out in real time. There is no reaction, no escalation. Everything happens after, through review, and that changes how it is processed. Because instead of experiencing something, you are interpreting it, frame by frame, detail by detail, trying to decide if what you are seeing was ever there to begin with. And that is what holds it in place. Not confirmed, but not dismissible either. Because once multiple people see the same thing in the same place, it stops being random. It becomes a question that never fully resolves. The next chilling video comes from Straight Explorer, a UK-based solo wild camping and paranormal-style exploration channel focused on remote, off-grid, woodland environments. It is April 17th, 2026, in a remote woodland in the United Kingdom. He arrives late, with limited daylight and very little margin for error. The goal is clear. Get deep into the forest, not near the edge, not near paths, but fully inside it. As he moves further in, the environment begins to close around him. Dense trees, moss-covered ground, and restricted visibility make navigation less precise, and that becomes important later.
So far though, until this day, let's just knock on wood, I've only ever had one, and I don't know how I've only had one. Like, I've literally slept on forest floors. Right, I'm going to bring you guys back in a minute, because this might be a bit challenging, looking for somewhere suitable.
Camp setup is forced, not chosen. Flat ground is limited, visibility is poor, and positioning is compromised. He notes the silence, not calm, but absent. No birds, no movement, just nothing. And that absence becomes the baseline for everything that follows.
We don't have wolves. What is that? We're far as well from any houses. It's not quite gone dark yet. I think I'm going to get the fire going.
The first break in that baseline is sound, a distant howl or moan. It stands out immediately because there is nothing else competing with it. No wind, no background noise, just a single source somewhere out in the forest.
I got the door open. Oh man. It's getting heavier and heavier.
Then conditions shift. Heavy rain begins. Visibility drops further, and sound starts to travel differently. Isolation increases because movement becomes restricted. At this point, he is fixed in position, with limited awareness beyond the immediate area.
Keep it there in my pocket.
Necromancer.
Necromancer.
Focus on the moment.
I am focusing on the moment. What can I hear behind me? Guys, there is something right here behind me.
Then visual uncertainty. Something near the tree line. Not clear, not sustained, but enough to interrupt what he is doing. He checks, but nothing is confirmed. And that interruption matters more than the visual itself.
Shh. Someone out there. Shit. Now I'm doing it. Shh. Ah, see, I'm not going to be able to clip that on properly because I haven't got my gloves to handle it after. What I need to try and do now is get this on there. So it's got these little handles that you flick up.
Knocking sounds follow, deeper in the forest but distinct. Not random, not repeated like natural movement. Structured enough to feel deliberate, but still unconfirmed.
Last time. What is that? Someone said in a comment, I think I read it just yesterday, they said, it sounds like a wolf. And I know we spoke about wolves earlier and things, but what did they say? Something about a wolf that's been disowned or pushed out the pack or something, but we have not got wolves. And I don't think that sounds like...
Another EVP attempt produces a response. The word there. The timing aligns with setup rather than random intervals. Again, not proof, but enough to reinforce the pattern already building.
What is going on? Something's out here messing with me. There is something literally screwing with me out here.
He attempts to leave, following what he believes is the correct direction, but ends up somewhere else entirely. Distance does not match movement. Direction does not match intention. And that is critical, because this is no longer perception at a distance. It is navigation failing in real time. This one does not rely on a single moment. It builds through accumulation, silence, then sound, then proximity, then movement, then loss of direction. Each stage removes control, and by the end, it is not about what was in the forest. It is about what the forest did to him. Because once orientation breaks, everything else becomes unreliable. The next shocking video of the night comes from Natalie Outdoors, a solo hiking and wild camping creator, documenting quiet, real-time outdoor experiences. It is April 15th, 2026, in a rural, foggy woodland in the United Kingdom. She arrives, and the environment sets the tone immediately. Visibility is low, the fog is dense, and depth perception is reduced. That matters, because it limits how far ahead she can read the space. Then, there is context. She mentions learning about a serious incident linked to the area after choosing it. So before anything even happens, there is already a psychological layer in place.
Yeah, look right there. So I'm back in my car. I have decided against the creepy new forest. I'll be honest, I don't have the lady balls required today, and that.
She pauses to assess, and the reaction is clear. Not panic, but resistance. The environment is not just quiet, it feels closed. Fog removes distance and sound becomes harder to place. Without clear visual reference, everything feels closer than it actually is. That is what shifts it from remote to uncomfortable. This becomes the decision point. She returns to the car, not because something happened, but because nothing feels right. That distinction is important. There is no clear trigger, just consistent unease. She weighs her options: stay, relocate, or leave. And for the first time, continuing is no longer the default choice.
It's not coming today. So I was going to get my cook system out and cook my dinner at the back of the car, but I went out there. It's far too windy. I would need to go up into the trees, and I just don't have the balls today. So yeah, we're going to call this a failed camp and a failed recce.
Nothing happens here in the traditional sense. No sound, no movement, no encounter. But that is exactly the point. This one is driven entirely by perception. Environment, context, and isolation all combine before anything actually occurs. And instead of pushing through it, she stops, which changes the outcome completely, because most situations escalate when people ignore that instinct. Here, she listens to it. And that is why it ends early, but still stands out. Not because something was there, but because everything suggested it could be, and that was enough. The next video comes from Blot Outdoors Show, a UK wild camping channel focused on solo stealth camps in unusual and often eerie locations. It is November 3rd, 2025, in Houghton-le-Spring, Tyne and Wear, United Kingdom. He moves deeper into the graveyard in near total darkness. There is no lighting, the ground is uneven, and visibility is limited. Navigation is not clean. Graves are misaligned, some missing, some shifted, which creates uncertainty in both footing and layout. That matters, because it removes spatial awareness early. He is not just in darkness, he is in an environment that does not map clearly.
Do you hear that? I heard a voice there. It's probably just some young'uns shouting. There were some kids down the road there. Right. Yeah, you can see, can't you? They're well worn, these gravestones.
It happens again. The same type of sound, voices, but this time during setup. Different timing, same pattern. It interrupts him, but still is not confirmed. Now it becomes repetition, not a one-off.
Now, I have heard 2 or 3 voices already, but that was really clear. And have you noticed? I don't know what it is. It sounds like a little bit camp. Yeah, right. Like a little bit gay, should I say? In the back streets of Brighton and Hove Albion. That's making me think, is there some gay, ghostly spirits around here? Has there been a homosexual?
Then proximity changes. A noise from directly behind him triggers an immediate reaction. No delay, no humor, just awareness. This is the first moment where direction becomes relevant, not just sound.
Definitely heard something there. Cheese mandingos. Anyway, I think I've talked too much shite for too long. Wow, that was weird. Anyway, when I bring you Roger Blackneck, we'll get some food on mice. Yes, mandingos. Let's get this. A beef casserole popped into the plastic bowl dingo, and we'll see Oh, come on. There's that much meat and potato in there. It's a bit blockaroonied. Come on, get in. Yes. Oh, look at the steam coming off that. Come on then, folks. This looks like a meal fit for her.
The pattern continues. Unexplained noises, consistent, but never confirmed. He keeps moving, keeps talking, but the baseline has changed. It is no longer a quiet environment with interruptions. It feels active, without any visible source.
That. Wowza Rooney. Right, come on. I'm gonna finish this off. And I'll bring you back for the world famous Ouachita frights. Yes, guys. You know what time it is. It's Ouachita time. What have we got? Gretna Green. So you know if you're thinking about running off to marry your lovely girlfriend, get over the Scottish.
A sharper, closer sound, strong enough to break his usual tone completely. That is the key indicator. Because when reaction overrides personality, it means the stimulus is strong enough to bypass control. Nothing here is confirmed visually, no figure, no direct interaction. But the structure is consistent. Sound, repeat, shift position, move closer, trigger reaction. It builds without resolution, and that is what defines it. Because in a place like this, you expect noise, wind, wildlife, distant people. What changes it is how the sound behaves. Not random, not constant, just present enough in the right moments to never fully ignore. And by the end, it is not about what made the noise. It is about the fact that it never once revealed itself. Before we get into the next clip, around 70% of people watching aren't subscribed. We're working toward 100,000 subscribers by the end of the year. And if you're enjoying the video, hitting subscribe really does help. All right, let's get back to it. The last video of the night comes from The Rock and Roll Rambler, a UK-based outdoor and wild camping channel focused on real-time mountain survival. It is January 18th, 2026 in the Mourne Mountains, Northern Ireland, United Kingdom. They arrive in good conditions, clear, calm, and controlled. But the key detail is the forecast. They already know what is coming, which means everything from this point is not reaction. It is preparation against something inevitable.
Okay, so we've got the Mealmore. This is where we plan to camp for the night. I'm going to try and put the tents up here. The ground is rock solid, so could have issues getting pegs in. And with the winds tonight to be so high, we really want to make sure the tent's secured. We're going to need all the help we can get. Pegs in, guy ropes up. Probably need to put rocks on top of the pegs just to make sure they don't come out. So we're going to give that a go now, try and get the tent up.
Conditions begin to shift. Temperature drops quickly. Wind starts building. The environment transitions from stable to exposed. And once that shift begins, there is no reversing it.
Been quite busy here today on the top of Mealmore. Obviously a lot of people out wanting to get a view of the snow, enjoy it. Northern Ireland, we don't get an awful lot of snow, and when we do, it usually doesn't hang around for too long, so everyone's making the most of it. But the amount of people have seen our tents and said, "Yous are mad, it's freezing, what do you do it for?" And the thing is, in the summer you can forget things and get away with it, but in the winter you just can't do that. Everything you pack has a reason, every layer has a job, and that's what preparation is key to that. I mean,
Survival mode begins early. Layering, heat retention, energy management. At this stage, everything still holds, but only because preparation is compensating for the conditions.
mental out there. We have just got back into the tents. We're in the wee stone hut all night with the fire logs going. It was nice, cozy, lovely and toasty. Just as the night went on, the weather outside just got worse and worse. So just got back into the tents. It's about 10 p.m. and the wind has fairly picked up. Crazy, and the snow, and it's cold. So it's looking like we're in for a rough night. But I'm going to try my best here. Get in the sleeping bag, try and get some sleep, but it is not looking likely. But we're really...
This is the failure point. The tent collapses, a pole snaps, and the structure gives way. That is the moment everything changes, because shelter is no longer reliable. And without shelter, temperature becomes the primary threat.
We had head torches, but they can only show you 5 meters in front of you, which at that time, yes, was great, but we couldn't find that path to get back onto it. And there was one point where John's head torch failed, the battery had run down, but thankfully I had a spare, so I was able to give him mine, which allowed us to carry on. Another thing that was happening.
The decision is immediate. They leave. No hesitation, because staying now means risk of hypothermia. This is no longer discomfort, it is exposure. The descent begins, and it becomes the most dangerous phase. Darkness, wind, and rain reduce visibility. They lose the path, and direction becomes uncertain while terrain becomes harder to read.
Those rivers, because of the strong winds and rain, were raging. The waters were high and gushing really, really fast. And we walked up and down them to see if we could get a safe place to cross, but there was only one way through that. And we were up to our knees walking through the rivers, and thankfully none of us got hurt. And I don't mind admitting,
the wind reaches a level where standing is no longer possible. They drop to their hands and knees. That is critical because it shows the force is beyond normal movement. Control is reduced to basic survival positioning. The final obstacle is water. Flooded terrain creates fast-moving streams. Crossing becomes a calculated risk, not a choice. Cold water, unstable footing, at the worst possible stage of the descent. This one is different. There is no ambiguity and no interpretation. Just cause and effect. Good conditions, then gradual deterioration, then structural failure, then forced evacuation. Every stage leads directly to the next. And the key moment is not the storm. It is the tent failing, because that is what removes protection and turns a difficult night into a survival situation. From that point on, it is no longer about camping. It is about getting off the mountain before the conditions take full control. We appreciate you for watching. If these creepy encounters gave you chills, hit that like button and subscribe so you don't miss the next drop. There's always another mystery waiting just around the corner.